Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this engaging webinar session on SQL Server 2012 End of Support, themed Recalibrating Your Business to Survive Imminent Disruptions. My name is Gift, a customer excellence strategist, and I'll be your facilitator for the day. Now, I'd like to notify everyone present that this session will be recorded so that the videos can be made available on demand. Also, take note that we have our experts present to attend to all inquiries. So kindly provide all questions in the chat window and we'll be taking it from there. Now on this call, we have our speakers who are Microsoft certified professionals. We have Mr. Benedict, Mr. Fatai, and Mr. Olumide, who will be taking us through various educational sections in the course of this meeting. And for today, we'll be going through 8 key segments. First, an introduction to Reliance Infosystems. Then we'll be exploring digital transformation, the need for customers to migrate. We'll be looking at several migration and modernization blockers, the SQL End of Support opportunity, migration options, several resources and offers to assist you in your journey. And lastly, we'll be taking on a question and answer segment where we'll be providing responses to all inquiries. So to start off for today, I would like to quickly introduce Reliance Infosystems. Now, we are a leading ICT organization headquartered in Lagos with physical and digital footprints around the world. And we focus on assisting organizations to harness technology in order to achieve their business goals, create unique value propositions, and attain matchless competitive positioning. Now, here at Reliance Infosystems, we operate by our success outcome philosophy, which is at the heart of our business. Now, the fundamentals of our business is built around winning with customers, and we see the relationship with our customers as a partnership because we go beyond providing the best digital solutions to also provide the right guidance, assisting our customers to attain success. Now, over the years, we have attained several gold competencies and advanced specializations. Currently, we have advanced specialization in Windows Server and SQL Server migration to Microsoft Azure, adoption and change management, modernization of web applications to Microsoft Azure, meeting rooms and calling for Microsoft Teams, and low-code app development. Also, as an industry leader, we have been recognized by several multinational tech companies with awards. On 3 occasions, we have bagged the Microsoft Country Partner of the Year award, and we also won the Sophos Partner of the Year award, in addition to a large portfolio of honors speaking to the effectiveness of our capabilities as an organization. For our footprints, we are physically located in Nigeria, Ghana, Botswana, Kenya, Pakistan, UAE, and the United Kingdom, with digital footprints in about 22 countries in Africa and the Middle East. Next, we'll be looking at 3 success pillars that defines our mode of operation here at Reliance Infosystems, and these pillars include business transformation, operational excellence, and protection assurance. For business transformation, we assist businesses to transform digitally, lower cost, and maximize productivity by introducing them to leading-edge cloud innovations. Now, under this pillar, we offer identity and access management, business productivity platform, cloud hosting solution, and a list of advanced services. For operational excellence, we provide platform agnostic technologies to assist our customers reinforce their value propositions and business offerings. Under this pillar, we provide modern ERP solutions, customer engagement, business intelligence, robotic process automation, and much more. For protection assurance, which is the 3rd pillar, we render rest of mind as a service, which simply means that utilizing the best digital solutions Digital security solutions. We handle all cybersecurity concerns for our customers, enabling them to focus solely on their productivity and the distribution of their products and services. So here we provide solutions under gateway protection, endpoint protection, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, and a list of ultra-modern cybersecurity solutions. So this is a brief summary of Reliance Infosystems and the scope of our operations. Right now, we'll be delving right into the next segment, which is digital transformation, and I'll be handing over to Benedict, who'll be taking it from here.
Okay, thank you very much, Gift. Now, I'm sure you can all agree with me that no industry has been left untouched by the global health crisis of 2020. Change is happening along with innovation, lessons, and even opportunities for progress. From this, organizations are accelerating their digital transformation efforts to meet the many challenges that are posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, those that already had the tools and resources in place for their digital transformation were able to quickly adjust to meet new customer needs. As a result, these organizations are benefiting from innovative business outcomes. And we have witnessed this across several industries, including financial services, the government, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, and even FMCG. Now, if you've been following the trend, you'll see that we've practically seen 10 years worth of digital transformation in just about 2 years. From remote teamwork and learning to new approaches to sales and customer services to improve processes. Businesses are embracing digital transformation to position their businesses to solve new and ever-emerging problems. And at the center of all of this is data. Now, the data we are generating as a result of these digital transformation efforts is increasing at an exponential rate. And as we are maturing in our digital innovation journey, our infrastructure invariably needs to be modernized to support these upcoming business workloads. Now, what you will notice is that digital transformation is at the heart of all our business processes. Firstly, it is defining how we relate with our customers through new sales and marketing channels, creating personalized customer experiences, and so on. Also, it hugely affects how we are shipping new products, new features, and new solutions. Furthermore, the operational excellence must now be at the core focus of businesses, leveraging digital innovation to reduce costs, maximize efficiencies, and even troubleshoot failures, and so on. Lastly, empowering our staff towards maximizing productivity is now critical more than ever. Now, research has shown that 72% of organizations, they've reported their industry's pace of transformation has been accelerating as a result of the pandemic. And 80% of enterprises will have the mechanism by the end of 2021 to shift to a cloud-centric infrastructure and applications. Now, this is twice as fast as before the pandemic. And to further bring this point home, I'll be giving you an example of a hypothetical company, Contoso Parts. Now, Contoso Parts is a spare parts dealership that's based in the USC. And like many other companies on this webinar today, Contoso Parts has plans to scale from incorporating e-commerce to partnering with vendors and retailers to opening delivery outlets in other locations and countries to integrating payment gateways. Now, with all these plans to scale, it's going to have a massive impact on their data, meaning their data is going to grow exponentially. And with this massive impact, there will come some certain blockers to their plans to scale, such as the fact that they're still using an aging infrastructure and still making use of SQL Server 2012, which is approaching its end of support. Now, the company is asking itself some critical questions, which all of us that are in different phases in our digital transformation journey can surely relate to, such as, is it even time to replace aging hardware and software? Well, yes, it is. Can you run your technology more efficiently on the cloud? It has been proven time and time again that this is possible. Are you meeting today's security and compliance standards? Well, if you're making use of aging hardware and software, sadly, you are not. And can you use cloud innovation to better serve your customers? And the answer to this is a resounding yes. Now, of all the triggers to modernize infrastructure for Contoso parts, and I'm sure like others on this webinar today, we'll see that the most critical triggers to modernize infrastructure are the urgent capacity needs caused by the massive data growth, and the SQL Server end of the SQL Server running software approaching its end of support dates. And to further bring this point home, I have my colleague Olumide on this call, who is going to show some of the impact the SQL Server end of support will have on our businesses in terms of security and their handling critical business workloads. Thank you. Over to you, Olumide.
Oh, thank you very much, Benedict. So SQL Server 2012 is reaching its end of support, right? And this is inevitable. So because of this, we are going to look at how this can impact our business. That is the end of SQL Server 2012 and 2008. So the first impact that we'll be discussing today is security vulnerability. So no more security fixes being issued to our data platform by Microsoft, meaning that our various old data platform running SQL Server will be vulnerable to various bad actors out there. And we might think that firewall or antivirus is just enough to protect us from this threat, but the truth is it's just not enough. So which is one of the reasons why we as an organization should try as much as possible to start planning today to modernize or migrate our current workloads that is running on our on-premise infrastructure to Azure cloud environment or upgrade to latest version of SQL Server. Another way that our business can be impacted is through software incompatibility. So we know that new applications and software that are built nowadays are built in such a way to take advantage of the functionality and the features that comes with modern operating system. So the same cannot be said for older version of SQL Server that we currently are running today. So some of the features that are currently built in SQL Server that we can start leveraging on if we upgrade our SQL Server to SQL Server 2019 and above includes accelerated data recovery, known as ADR. So ADR basically allows us to have quick rollbacks when we are working with SQL database. So as a data administrator, we may have encountered this one point and the other. So for example, assuming that we are running a transaction on our database that has been running for over 2 hours, right? For one reason or the other, we had to cancel such transaction. So oftentimes we have to pay an heavy price of waiting for over 6 hours, even more, for this transaction to be finished. And during this time of waiting, our database is completely unavailable and it cannot be used for the various needs of the business. We can see that this causes a huge business interruption. So with accelerated data recovery that is present in SQL Server 2019 today, this exponentially increases reduces such wait time and ensure that we do not have business discontinuity. So another feature that is currently present in SQL Server 2019 is always encrypted with security enclave. So this allows us to ensure that our data, be it sensitive data or not, is encrypted in memory. We all know that one form of encryption is available within the older version of SQL Server, but what this does not bring to the table is ability to perform computation on such encrypted data. So with always encrypted with security enclave, we are able to perform one form of encryption on our data. In fact, our data is even secure such a way that even the database administrator will not have access to such sensitive data if it's configured that way. And lastly is query store custom capture policy. So this feature within SQL Server 2019 and above allows us to leverage on functionality like seeing or having visibility into how our SQL database workload is performing. On top of that, we also have access to some recommendation on how to fix some of the poor performance that our SQL database might be facing. So speaking more on how our business can be impacted, is compliance issue. We understand that a lot of businesses are highly regulated and they have to comply with one regulation or the other. Compliance on how they handle customer sensitive data being one of these. So running a SQL Server that is reaching its end of support or that is already in the place of end of support means that Microsoft will no longer issue Windows P6 that addresses vulnerability that might be detected in either within the platform that the solution is running or at a particular point in time. So which means that such sensitive data might be vulnerable to bad actors out there, and the breach of such sensitive data might have huge implication on the business. So moving on and speaking more on how this can impact our business, that is the end of support for SQL Server, is high operational cost. So we might think that upgrading our various workload to Azure environment or modernizing our data within cloud environment, or even upgrading our current SQL Server may come with some cost implication. But the cost implication is minimal compared to high operational cost that is associated with running software application or legacy application. So this cost might be incurred due to patching of such software solution and so on and so forth. So with this reason is enough for us to start planning to migrate our current workloads into Azure SQL database or upgrading our SQL database. And lastly, here is our poor performance and reliability. So if our business is still running a SQL Server that is reaching its end of support today, there's a huge chance that the SQL Server is running on an hardware that is currently aging. So this had another level of complexity to our current workloads. So to ensure that we don't have any downtime, so that's one of the reasons why it's advisable to start considering migrating our current workload into Azure environment to ensure that we do not face any form of business disruption. So all these points that I've stated alone is enough for us to start looking forward to planning to embark on the digital transformation journey. Now, to shed more light to what the life cycle of Microsoft product looks like, that is what this slide is all about. So Microsoft's product is broadly divided into two phases: product release phase and end of support phase. And as we've been saying since the beginning of this presentation, we are currently at the end of support phase, at which Microsoft no longer issue any form of security or any form of new features into the product, but only support the product when it comes to security updates and non-security pieces. So we know that we are currently in this phase, which means that it's very important for us to start considering or even start planning to embark on that transformation to ensure that our various data running on our SQL data platform is not vulnerable in any form or the other. So I believe it's high time we look at what the journey looks like. So for those of us that are still running SQL Server 2008, the end of support for this is going to be reached by July 9th, 2022. While we run SQL Server 2012 and its various SKUs, the end of support will be reached a few days after, that is July 12th, 2022. So what are the options that we have? So the option that we have is either we continue leveraging on our on-premise infrastructure, but procure an extended security update for the next 3 years, or modernize our application within Azure environment and leverage on this extended security update for free. So we'll speak more on that in a bit. So speaking more on the option that we have when it comes to ensuring that our current workload remains supported. So the part is broadly divided into two parts, right? The Azure cloud part and the on-premise part. For the various organizations that are already considering migrating their current workload to Azure cloud environment or modernizing their workload within Azure, so here we have the option of migrating our current SQL database as it is to a VM within Azure cloud environment. So this allows us to leverage on our current version of SQL Server, while at the same time, Microsoft will continue supporting such workload without additional cost. That is, the extended security updates will be applied to our SQL Server workload for free. So on top of that, we can still continue leveraging on our on-premise infrastructure by leveraging on all the benefits that Azure Hybrid benefits have to offer. So another part that we can take is embark on the modernization journey. What I mean by this is migrating our SQL database workload into Azure SQL database. So this allows us to leverage on all the features and functionality that our platform as a service have to offer. So this might require us to make some changes to our underlying software application, but Microsoft has provided a huge framework that makes this journey seamless. So we understand that there are a lot of businesses that have one compliance or the other they have to comply with. So that is where Azure Managed Instance comes to play. So for businesses that don't want to make any changes to their underlying application or have to meet one or two administrative compliance, Azure Managed Instance is best suited for such organization. So for example, with Azure Managed Instance, the administrator can have control on how they manage the backups of the database, and also when leveraging our Azure Managed Instance, there's no need to make any changes to underlying database architecture that we have running previously. So these are the kind of benefits that we can leverage on when we go through the Azure part, that is the cloud modernization journey. So we also understand that there are a lot of businesses that would like to remain on-premise, right? Either due to one reason or the other. So for such organizations, we can either upgrade our SQL database from the current version to SQL Server 2019 in order to leverage on some of the features and functionality that I've just mentioned earlier. So despite all this that we've mentioned, we know that a lot of business will not meet up with this deadline. So that is one of the reasons why Microsoft ensure that our business or our current data workloads remain supported and secure. And that is one of the reasons why Microsoft provides us the ability to continue leveraging on extended security updates for the next 3 years. Although this comes with some additional costs. Now, all this I will stated, this slide to round everything up in a brief summary. So for those organizations that currently have on-premise data workloads that is running one SQL Server or the other, that is reaching its end of support, we can continue leveraging on such workload by procuring extended security update for the next 3 years. And for the organizations that are currently running within the cloud Azure cloud environment or looking to modernizing their data workload within Azure cloud environment, either within a VM or within a virtualized environment, Microsoft will automatically apply the extended security update to such workloads for free without additional cost. So rounding this section up, the various parts that we have to ensure that our various data workload remains supported and we do not have any form of business interruption includes, first of all, we can upgrade our current workload within Azure environment and leverage on the free extended security updates that Microsoft will extend to such scenario for free. Or we can continue to leverage on our on-premise infrastructure while we continue to procure this extended security update for the next 3 years. I believe this brings us to the end of this section for this presentation. I'll be handing over to my colleague Patai to take us through the migration options that we have. Over to you, Patai.
Hey. Thank you very much, Olumide. I understand that over the course of this webinar, we've been able to introduced to digital transformation and how we are having massive acceleration in digital transformation and how our businesses need to keep up with this trend and how our data and our workload need to also be modernized. And we've also been told that SQL Server 2012 or 2012 is nearing its end of support by Microsoft. And Olumide has also been able to show us some of the impacts this has on our business. Now, I'm going to try to be putting all of this together by showing us, okay, now we've been told that SQL Server 2012 is nearing its end of support. So what are the options available to us and how can we plan for this end of support that is coming? And to start with, I'm just going to be starting with by saying that what are even some of the 3 reasons why should you even move your application, your data workloads to Azure? And first of all is that we can all agree that we can actually use cloud innovation to retire our technical debt. By migrating to Azure infrastructure as a service or by leveraging on Azure virtual machines, we don't really have to spend extensively on the setup and trying to even run our own infrastructure on premise. We can also leverage on Azure SQL database or even Azure app services as the case may be. Also, we are also able to realize significant cost savings versus when we stay on premise, with Azure hybrid benefit that allows us to even use some of our on-premise cost and on-premise investment and migrate some of this to Azure. And there's also reserved capacity, which allows us to even reserve capacity for up to 3 years and save significantly on cost. Gets no better than this. Also, still talking about significant cost savings versus when we stay on premise, we're also going to be enjoying free extended security update for 3 good years by Microsoft. And we are also able to optimize, critically optimize our infrastructure. And also thirdly, we are also, Azure is actually built on a very foundation, a solid foundation of security and compliance. That means you're able to improve your security, the entire security and compliance of your own infrastructure by leveraging on Azure, because you have secure cloud foundation, you have built-in multi-layered security controls. It's over 90 plus compliance certification, more than any other cloud partner that are out there. Now, it is also worthy of mention that Azure is even 5 times cheaper than AWS and Google counterparts, right? Azure is the most cost-effective cloud for Windows Server and even SQL Server, because you're also able to save with Azure hybrid benefits, right? Which Azure only benefits for customers with active software assurance. You're also able to leverage on existing licenses and only pay the base rate on Azure. That means that you're also able to leverage on existing investment that you have made on premise when you even run a hybrid model in your infrastructure. Now, it is worthy of also mention that you have unbeatable return on investment when you migrate to Microsoft Azure, with over 212% total return on investment within a 3-year period, right? And you don't have to take our word for it. These have been independently validated by Forrester, which is actually an independent research organization. And they've been able to research and say that when you actually migrate your workloads to Azure, within 6 months, you're able to recoup or recover the cost that you have put into migrating your workload. And it's about 3 years, you're able to get up to 212 return on investment. It gets no better than this, really. And also, just to also buttress on some of the points I've made, right? I have mentioned earlier, you have unbeatable return on investment when you migrate to Azure. You have unmatched security and compliance. You have flexible modernization, which I'm going to be touching on the next few slides. And you have unparalleled innovation. I'm just going to be diving into some of these in the next 1 or 2 slides. Now, let's start with security. We all know that what is the benefit of having our data if we cannot be guaranteed that it is secured and it is meeting today's standard of security and compliance. And Azure is actually a platform that has unmatched security, a platform that has unmatched security and compliance when featured in practically all of its solutions and services, because you have built-in security features like Azure Firewall, virtual networks, and even Azure Active Directly that is integrated directly into Azure SQL database managed instance, for instance, right? And this which also allows you to extend to integrate extended or rather to extend your current network security to the cloud. Azure SQL database also allows you to encrypt your data while in use or while at rest, right? And you're able to protect your data from both internal and external prying eyes. You also have advanced threat protection that raises automatic alerts on suspicious activities. Like I said, there are over 90 plus certification and compliance that Microsoft has certified to make the Azure platform really suitable for us in terms of supporting our workloads where security is concerned. I also mentioned flexible modernization. With Azure, Azure works with also on-premise investment. And this is very good for those of us that perhaps don't want to fully migrate to Azure platform. You can remember the story of Contoso Park that my colleague laid earlier. Some of the options that are available for them is they can even use the familiar SQL Server features that they have known and come to accustomed to while they were on premise, right? And because the Azure SQL database and Azure SQL Server are built on practically the same code, so your app practically works the same way. You're also able to eliminate application changes because there is actually
so you're also able to leverage built-in integration across on-premise and even one on cloud, which by leveraging on Azure Active Directory and even other Azure services. You can work with your on-premise application and leverage on the networking and security that you are used to. Now, with so there are different options that is available for you as an organization. We have laid out some of these in earlier conversation. I'm just going to be building and I'm going to be diving into this in detail. Now, we currently have our data on-premise and in Azure SQL Server. Now, there are two options to modernize our infrastructure, right? Whether we want to stay on-premise or we want to migrate to Azure, both options are fully supported by Microsoft. And what are the options and how can we leverage on this? Now, by modernizing in Azure, we have two options also. We can either leverage by move to Azure Platform as a Service, right? Or we actually move to an infrastructure as a service by leveraging on Azure VM. And I'm going to be expanding on these two. Now, by moving to Azure Platform as a Service, the counterpart, the direct counterpart for the Azure SQL Server, when we move to Azure, is actually the Azure SQL database managed instance. So you're able to lift and shift your current security server workload directly to managed instance, right? And you're also able to enjoy fully managed services that always runs on evergreen features. And also, there is also the second option of actually moving to an infrastructure as a service, right? You can actually leverage on SQL Server 2017 on Azure VM and move as is with SQL Server to either a 2008 R2 and get even 3 years of extended security updates for free. So two options to recap on this. By moving to Azure, you can either move to an Azure SQL database managed instance, or you can even move to a virtual machine and enjoy 3 years extended security update. And secondly, we may also want to stay on our on-premise infrastructure. This is also very welcome. And how can we do this? We can actually migrate to Azure SQL Server 2019 and stay on-premise and still enjoy some of this the benefits that we are used to in SQL Server 2012. So just to recap on these, two options: either we modernize or we migrate to Azure, or we actually stay on-premise. When we move to Azure, we can actually leverage on Azure database managed instance, or we can actually move to a virtual machine. And otherwise, we can even agree that we want to stay on premise. Now, what are some of the benefits that is available to us when we move to Azure SQL Database Managed Instance? I've mentioned the best return on investment, which means that you can actually have a migration payback in 6 months or less. You also have SQL parity, right? Which means that you have full parity based on 100% of your code consistency. That means that this is supported on, that supports the source version back even up to SQL 2005. You have an intelligent database that is running on machine learning based performance and security. You also have an hybrid mode, which allows you to work with your current on-premise investment. And you have easy migration. You're able to do a direct lift and shift to the cloud with little to no code changes using Microsoft free tools. Now,
I mentioned the first option that is available to us. The second of what is available to us is to actually stay on premise. And with this, when we migrate to SQL Server 2019, we can actually have intelligence over our own data, right? We also have the choice of platform and of language, and even the container that we use. We have the most secure database over the last 9 years, and you have insight that can be generated in minutes on any device. And this is really remarkable if you ask me. So Microsoft has tried to sort of cover all scenarios to make sure that the upcoming end of support that is coming for SQL Server 2012 will not impact our business in any way. And I'm just to buttress on that, I'm just going to bring all of this together again, just so that you can choose the preferred way that you want to modernize your own infrastructure. And that is why I'm bringing back this slide. When you have, if you're currently running, for those of us currently learning on SQL Server 2012, there are two options. Just like I've said, you can modernize in Azure. If you want to modernize on-premise and stay on-premise, you can actually upgrade to SQL Server 2019. If you want to modernize to Azure, you have the option of actually going for a platform as a service and leveraging on Azure SQL database managed instance, or you want to do a move assist and also move to an infrastructure as a service with Azure SQL VM. And with that, we have the option laid out for us, and we are able to choose the one that most supports our workload, and we have the flexibility of going with any of these options. And I'll be handing the baton back to Gift right now to continue the conversation with us. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation, Fatai. Right now, we'll be taking your questions. So kindly provide all questions in the chat window, and we'll be taking them right now. Okay, so while we await further questions from you, here's a quick message from Reliance Infosystems. All right, thank you so much. We are still taking your questions, and please provide them in the chat window. We have our experts here to respond, so we are waiting on you. Okay, so we have a question here. So we have a question from Mr. Prince. He says, after the SQL support ends, it will not run properly till you migrate or upgrade. He's trying to find out, does that mean the server won't run properly till you migrate or upgrade? So Benedict, please can you assist us with a response to that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So what this means to our business, not like this will not run properly. What what this simply means to our business is that the security and the patches that we've all enjoyed in terms of support by Microsoft is going to end by July, right? So which means that we have to now be responsible for maybe our own security and our own patching ourselves, because the support that Microsoft gives for the product is ending. So for us to continue to enjoy for us to continue to enjoy all the benefits that comes with in terms of extended security updates and so on and so forth, right? We actually need to migrate or modernize to the latest infrastructure or even move to Azure. So I hope that I've been able to answer that question.
All right, thank you so much, Fatai. I believe his question has been answered. We have another question here. For those using desktop applications like Dynamic GP, will it correspond and operate well with Azure? So, Olumide, please can you provide a response to this question?
Good day. So with the various organizations that are currently running Dynamics GP and similar ERP systems, right? So such system, I believe they are all running on SQL database, right? And they all play with Azure SQL database because depending on the options that we want to leverage on, being migrating the source SQL database into a VM in Azure being an option, so which means that we're able to leverage on all the functionality that we have on premise, so within Azure environment. So it plays well nicely. And also another option that we also have here is leveraging on Azure SQL Managed Instance. So know quite well that such organizations that are running Dynamic GP, they don't want to make any changes to such application whatsoever. So running such database on Azure Managed Instance allows us to have little to no changes to such data workload within Azure. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olumide. Please, Mr. Seth, does that answer your question? You can quickly notify on the chat window the response. Okay, so we are still taking your questions. Please provide them in the chat window. We are here to provide responses to all inquiries. So please provide your questions in the chat window. All right, so we have another question here. So what are the procedures if we want to leverage on Azure Managed Instance in case one does not have the expertise? So Mr. Olumide, please can you take us on a response to this question?
All right, thank you, Gift.
All right.
So Microsoft has array of programs that actually make this journey seamless. So the framework allows provides various organizations, and also with the help of various Microsoft partners, Reliance Infosystems being one of such partners, allows such organizations to make the transition seamless. So such tools like we have visibility into what our current data work or on-premise data workload looks like. And then such tools allows us to run assessments on such workloads and see where there might be compatibility issue, and even providing us with a suggestion on how to address such compatibility issue. The framework also provide us with the best approaches to tackle the migration. What do I mean by that? During the presentation, we mentioned various paths that we can take when it comes to modernizing our application within Azure cloud environment. So this framework will suggest to us the best options to go with, either Azure SQL database, either Azure Managed Instance, or even Azure SQL database running within an Azure VM. So the framework provides us with such insight to the best way to approach the migration. Hope this address your question.
All right, Ma'am Cynthia. Okay, yes. So thank you so much, Olumide. Please, are there more questions? All right, in the absence of further questions, I believe that we have come to the end of this session. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone that has been a part of this experience. Okay, wait, we have one more question. So what does the new security features entail? Can you help us with this, Mr. Fatai?
Okay, thank you very much for that gift. So to start with, I want to react to the last question here that is asked by Mr. Ismail as regards if then we can have access to this presentation. I want to believe that it's going to be available for all the recording after the session. So we can always try to reward because the section is actually recorded. The other question about what the new security features entail, I'd like to defer to Olumide to quickly shed light on that. Thank you.
All right, Fatai. So regarding the security update that we have currently within Azure SQL, within SQL Database 2019, some of which includes security with enclave, as I've rightly mentioned during the presentation. So what this allows us to do is perform various computation on our data, despite the fact that we have security encryption enabled on such data. So to shed more light on this, because the data, let's say for example, a particular column has been encrypted right in memory. So as we can do for say SQL Server 2012 or SQL Server 2016, for example, 2017. So the only operation that we can perform here is basically comparing if one or two columns are the same, right? Let me just put it this way: equality and comparison, because we are basically comparing the hash of such a column. But with always encrypted with security enclave, we're able to perform computation on such data. So the way SQL Server was able to do this is by creating a section in memory called secure enclave, which is totally private to external applications. And then this allows us to perform various computation on our data. And also for the various SQL database that we might be running within Azure environment, we can also leverage on all the security features and functionality that Azure has to offer, such as firewall, virtual network, Active Directory integration, and so on and so forth. So these are just some of the few security features that we can leverage on when it comes to SQL database, both on-premise and in the cloud. Hope this answered the question.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Olumide. I believe, yes, that answers his question. So we have another question here. It says, I want to know, is there any form of replication in Azure? Some activities may not be performed on a production server in order not to put much load on the server. How does Azure address this? So can we have someone take this question? Mr. Fatai, can you assist us with a response to this question?
Okay, thank you. So let me see if I understand the question correctly. Any form of replication in Azure? To answer this, I think the answer is a direct yes. I mentioned Azure managed instance. Like I said, so we can actually do more or less like a lift and shift of what we currently have on SQL Server 2012 directly to managed instance without changing our code at all. So we have full parity and full support for this in managed instance. So there are different options for in terms of data or different options that we can take when we migrate to Azure. And then I think managed instance offers the direct for in the lift using lift and shift model. So I think that I don't know if that answers the question or if Olumide would also like to share more light on this.
All right. Regarding the question, right? So we can handle replication within Azure SQL Database in different forms, right? And this speaks to both Azure SQL Database and Azure Managed Instance. So, for example, we can leverage on the standard transactional replication or the snapshot replication, which are both applicable to Azure SQL Database and Azure SQL Managed Instance. While the bidirectional replication, on the other hand, is only applicable to Azure Managed Instance. I believe this shed more light to what Patai has rightly said earlier. Does this answer the question? Or all right, thank you.
All right, I believe that answers his question, Mr. Olumide. So thank you so much. Now, in the absence of any further questions, I believe we've come to the end of this webinar session. So to answer the question in regards to the video, like I said earlier, the videos will be made available to you on demand. It's currently being recorded and to be provided. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining in and being a part of this incredible experience. Thank you for making out the time. We really appreciate that. So kindly note that you'll be receiving a feedback form from us. We also have a link to that currently in the chat window. So please endeavor to click on that link, fill out the form and submit. So for further inquiries, you can reach out to us through any of our social media handles or through our email address currently displayed on the screen. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Do have a lovely day.